Hello Stampers, my name is Linda Bedinger and I'm an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator in Denver, Colorado. I'm so glad you could join me today. I have a fun fold card and this is one of those pinwheel cards. They call it, I think, a tower pinwheel card, and I've seen many demonstrators do them and put them together. The one I copied from, or cased in this case, was the one from Kathy Howes, Howes. And Kathy has a YouTube channel where she shows exactly what to do to make the card. And the thing that's different about what Kathy did is the core center of the tower. The way Kathy put it together is using designer series paper instead of cardstock. And I think that is a superior design. It allows the card to move more freely and lay a little bit flatter. So I'm going to show you. I made mine a Christmas card, and so let's just get started and I'll show you how to do it. Okay, here is my card, and the way this card works is it stands like this, and that's the idea of the pinwheel, and it's got this piece that's in the middle. I think you can see that it has a pattern paper in the center there. I'm going to turn it so you can see that a little bit better. And then it's got the panels on the front and lots of decoration. This one, I got a little carried away with the decorations. You don't have to put this much on them. But I had a lot of fun with it, and so I thought I would share with you making this one. And you can make them a little less elaborate or a lot of elaborate. I didn't put any decorations on these panels. So let me show you. This is the front of the card, and it says Season's Blessings. And on the one we're going to do today, I'm just going to go ahead and put Merry Christmas instead of the Season's Blessings. But I'll tell you where I got this one as well. And then you move the card to the next panel. And on this one, I stamped Joy. And then this is part of the designer series paper that you get. This one is free with sale abrasion this time, and it's got this darling plaid, red and black plaid, and this one side of the paper has these leaping deers and the other side of the paper has this pattern, and so I just got carried away with all of that. This one has a little note on it that says Merry. This one has a panel on it that says Noel, and then you come back to Season's Blessings. Now, what you can do, and I didn't do on this one, is leave one of these panels, like maybe this one, without one of these pieces, or put another smaller white piece on the inside and write your greeting. Because the way I put mine together, there's no place to put a greeting on this one. You'd have to put another note with it, or like I say, add a panel to this and get that to go. But it's really a fun little card, and it fits in a regular standard size envelope, A2 envelope, and I mean, it's got a little dimension because I use dimensionals and all different kinds of things in there, but it's not any more thick than any of the other cards that I make that have dimensionals. If you're careful where you put them, like I put my knot bow here, not to put something that has dimensionals there. My dimensionals here are further over on this side and down on the bottom, so I wouldn't want to put any more on the bottom. This one I might actually pick up to the top. Anyway, that's what it is. Now there's a ton of little pieces to this. And you don't need a white base, but I put mine in a card base just so I'd have a place to keep everything. So what we have is, we have our 4 pieces of the white that are going to go on the front. Then there's that piece and or that piece to go on the sides of those panels, and those are 1.5 by 4s. And then on this one, we have this punch, and it's a new punch in the holiday catalog. It's so much fun that the holiday catalog is where we can get our hands on it. This one is called the Holly Border Punch, and it cuts out, and I'll show you where I used it, a border of this holly across the bottom of your card or the side of your card, but you also get the little pieces. So on this one, I said I was going to make it Merry Christmas and then put these pieces in. So the next one is this, and there's my piece from here. And then this one has a piece of red, and I can see right now I don't have it cut. And then this piece of designer series paper that's going to go in here with this cute little deer, and I decided it needed a rim of red, and that would be 3 3/4 by 2 1/2. Okay, so there is my piece. I went ahead and just went off camera and cut it, and it turns out that this piece is 2 1/2 by 4, and that's just to mat this little piece that is 2 1/4 by 3 3/4. And I just wanted to capture a piece with this deer like that. So that's that piece. And then I have a little piece of that ruffled red ribbon that's in the new catalog. Lots of fun. Then for this one, out of that same red paper, see on the back side of this paper is the red gingham. And I cut out my 2 trees using our regular tree punch. So that's what I did there. And then we also have available to us this evergreen border punch. And so I cut down the side of a piece of garden green, a bunch of this item so that I could raise these trees up and then put this and then put this using the tree side of this paper to do that. Now, I'm going to go through the stamps as we get through this. I want to just get to the pieces here. This is that Holly Border Punch. And what I did was I just cut a huge long strip of it, and I cut it off so that I got a complete holly set of leaves, 3 sets of leaves, which will fit on the card just perfectly here. And then I stamped in Noel and backed it in red. Okay, and then what I did was I took a piece of scrap red and I used the Holly Border Punch and just punched right along this edge so that I could piece in the little red dots. Thought that was kind of cute. And then I used also some red rhinestones with that. And so that is pretty much all of the pieces, except for the tower, which we're going to make, and I'm going to show you. And I've already stamped my Mary and my Noel, and I've got my red backing for my Noel, and I've got my ribbon, and I've got a little piece of red to go on the back of my Mary, and a few little extra pieces here, more of those tree borders to make sure we've got enough to go across our card. Anyway, so it's a little fiddly from the standpoint of lots of little pieces, but it's actually a pretty simple card to put together. Okay, so let's start with this piece. This piece is cut 4 1/4 by 4 1/2. And I'm going to use my scoreboard to score this piece of paper. I think that you get, in the end, a better score on designer series paper using this tool. Let me make sure I've got that in. And you want the 4 1/2 side across here underneath the ruler here. And we're going to score this at 1 inch and 2 inches. I think I'm scoring the wrong side. 3 inches and 4 inches. And other people have only made this piece 4 1/4, and then there's just not as much to glue to hold it together, and I felt more comfortable when Kathy explained why she did hers the way she did it. But this is just the greatest fun Christmas card in the whole world, and I did score that backwards. So I'm going to want to fold mine so that, let's see, I did it right. Okay, because what we want to do is see this on the inside. So there's my score lines, and what I'm going to do, because it's designer series paper and I don't want to cut it, I'm just going to make sure that it is flush with the top and the bottom, and I'm going to finger press that right there. Then I'm going to go over to the next score line and do that same thing. Make sure that that is absolutely perfectly flush, and I may have to get my bone folder out here to get that one done. I have to show you this. Isn't that lovely? One of my team members, Carolyn Lubitsky, sent this to me, and it's got my name on it. Isn't that sweet? Okay, so I'm going to keep going here, and we're going to do one more, and again we're going to make sure that it's absolutely flush, and we're going to give it a light burnish there because we don't want that to tear. Then we have this last little flap here that is the 1/2 inch, and we're going to give that a finger or a little light press, and there we've created our tower. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to put this flap on the outside instead of the inside, so you won't see anything from the inside to show you where the seam is. And this is going to end up being covered with these panels so it won't show. So we're going to go ahead and do that, and I'm going to put some snail on this, and I'm going to use just my regular seal on this. Bring out my silicone mat here. I thought about using tear tape. Let me make sure I'm doing that right. Yes, so I want this, the glue, to be on this side. And I don't think it's necessary as long as you use something that's fairly strong, and seal is good and strong. And I want to make sure I get that whole 1/2 inch panel covered without going over. There we go. And then you can just lay this down and lay this across, making sure that you get this exactly square, and then just push that down, and there you've got your piece done, and you've got your little tower, and hopefully it's scored well, and it'll be right, and we can make it. Now I can use my bone folder a little bit to make sure that I've got this exactly square. And there we go. We've got our tower all ready to go. All right. So the next thing we're going to do is start decorating these pieces. Now, I used lots of stamp sets, and I would say go to your stash and get the stamps that you want to use. I'll tell you all of the ones that I used, and I stamped everything in real red. Now, this one I stamped Seasons Blessings. Seasons Blessings came from this stamp set that's called Seasons Blessings, and it's new this year. And it's a long one, and I didn't want mine to be long. I wanted it to be, you can see here that it's sort of not exactly one on top of the other, but it kind of filled things up. And all I did was I snipped that in half. And then you can always put it back together on a block if you want to do them together. But I took mine apart and put each one of those pieces on a block, so Seasons and Blessings, and then if I want to put it together, I just reconnect it and do it that way. But I thought this time I would do Merry Christmas. And so I decided to use the Merry Christmas from Perfectly Plaid that carried over from last year. It's such a lovely Merry Christmas, and it will fit just beautifully right on this little panel. It was a bit challenging to get stamps that had small enough greetings that they actually fit on these small panels. So let me get this one right. This isn't the right piece for this. It's this one that I'm going to put my Merry Christmas on. So I'm going to ink that up. And that is a photopolymer. So I've got a little bit of a cushion here. And we're going to put our Merry Christmas right across here, down just a little bit. And there we've got a lovely Merry Christmas. Okay, and then what I did to further decorate that, you know what, that's not straight. I'm going to do it again. I'm looking at it and it's kind of cockeyed. There we go. That's better. All right. So now I need a piece of this designer series paper to go on the back of this piece. Okay, here's my piece that this goes on. Looks like I got a little blob of ink there. I'll erase that in just a second. And I'm just going to add some seal to this. And put this into place on my piece of designer series paper. And I'm going to, I'll go off camera and erase this little bit of ink here. So there we go. This piece is now ready to go on here. And so I'm going to add a little bit of seal to the back of this piece and put that into place on my white panel. There we go. And then I have those pieces that I cut out to make my holly leaf here. And so I have two of the larger pieces for the holly leaves, and then I should have a little one. Let me dig in the ones that I cut, and there is my small one. And I'm just going to use my dot runner and put some snail on those and add those to my card. My holly leaves, and then I have some red rhinestones here to add to the holly. And there is my decoration for that very first panel on our tower. So I'm going to bring back in our tower here. And I'm going to add some seal, and I think the first thing I'll do is cover up this seam, and I'm going to do that with my seal right here on both sides of my panel. And then I'm going to set this down so that I can see that edge and get that right on that edge. I think you can see what I'm doing here, but I'm going to move it up so you can for sure. But I'm just moving this right towards this edge so that it'll be perfectly matched, and I won't be able to see any of the green behind it, and that's when you know you've got it right down there just right. And there we go. Our first piece is put on there, and I can't see any of the white from that side, and I can't see any of the green from this side. And so there we go. That is our first panel added. So if we go on to the next piece, which would be this piece that we're going to do here, and this is going to have a green strip on this side. So I can go ahead and put that into place. There we go. And then this piece has one of these, the red piece, which is going to go on next. So I can go ahead and add it right centered on this piece of white. There we go. And then that has the Deer Designer Series paper here to add to that piece. And there we go. Now for that one, I used a little bow, and then I stamped the word joy. And the word joy came from this stamp set. It's a new one, Merriest Moments. And it had joy, it has holly leaves, it has poinsettia leaves, and this one does have dies. Merriest Frame Dies is what it's called. So I've got my joy, and I'm just going to find the right spot to put the joy. And I'm going to ink that up in the red. That is photopolymer, so we want to get that up on a cushion here. And I'm thinking this joy is going to fit right in between these two snowflakes here. There we go. And then I can add my ribbon up here in the corner, and I'm going to add that with a little glue dot. So there is that panel finished, and that's ready to go on our tower. And that is going to go right here on this piece. I'm going to move this out of the way so I can really see where it is I'm gluing down. So I need to put my seal on this panel, and I think it's much easier to put your glue on these panels rather than try to figure out where to put it on this, although there's some tricks to figure out how to do that when you need to. But this way you know you won't go beyond the place that you need to, because you're looking right at it. So I'm going to again set this up so that I just go past the green, and I've got it centered from top to bottom, and that panel is now put into place. So there we've got our first panel and our second panel. This card is just so much fun to do. So on this next one, we would put one of these red strips. Now, on the next panel, we're doing this piece. So on my piece of white, I made this piece to cover with these trees just a little bit bigger than I made this one. I thought it would look a little nicer. So this piece is 2.5 by 4. So let me add some seal to the back of this piece and put that into place Oops, be good if my trees were right side up. And there we go. That one is in place. Now we need some of our little trees here on the bottom, and these little trees were cut with that border punch. I wanted them to kind of go across the bottom, but they almost disappeared, and that's when I decided that by putting these trees in here, it would make that difference. So I'm going to figure out that 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 trees is what I need to go across that bottom. So I'm just going to snip that one off at that point, and I'm going to add some mini dimensionals on the bottom here. On this one, what I did was I put these up just a little from the bottom and had them going across here. And so on this one, I think what I'm going to do is set these next ones, but it looks like I need basically 4 trees. So I'm going to just cut off my 4 trees here, and I'm going to put them kind of between the others. And so I think I can do that by just putting some snail on the back of these trees with my dot runner and lay them across these trees, and I think that will hold. We'll just check that out because I've already got the dimension and I'm not sure I want any more dimension. So if we set these down so that they fit in between and just lay those down on top, I get the look that I want, which is my trees kind of a little bit lower and in between the other trees, so it's a complete row of trees. Then these pieces, one of these, I added some snail to, and I put it in place so that this bottom piece came all the way to just outside the green piece, but not outside the white card. And I laid that one down flat, and the next one to do next to it, and I put that one on dimensionals. So I set this one up a little bit and as far over as I could get away with, and put that into place. Now then, I took the word Merry. I got that one from this stamp set called Merry Snowflakes, and it had a Merry everything. So what I did was I put my Merry everything on a block, and so it says Merry everything, but this part is laying off, and that's fine because all I really wanted was the Merry. So what I did was I just used my marker, because your marker works just as well as your stamp set, and I colored my word Merry in, made sure I got every little piece of that word covered. So I took my piece of scrap white here and just centered my Merry right down there, and then I used my layering circle dies, and I used the smallest plain circle die to cut out the Merry, and then the smallest scallop die to cut out a red backing. Then I put some glue on the back of my Merry, and then very carefully got this centered on this little background with those scallops so that I could see scallops all the way around my word. And then put that down here. And I think I'm going to, you could put that on a dimensional if you wanted, but I thought it would be fine just to lay that one kind of flat on the card. And so that piece, other than a couple of very large rhinestones to go on the top of the tree, and take a pick tool and grab two of the tallest or the biggest of these rhinestones just to add to the top of the trees here for a little bit of sparkle. So there we go. That one is all ready to go on our next panel. And that next panel is going to be this one right to this side. Add a little bit of glue. All right, so there we go. So this one is going to go on here, and I'm going to add my seal once again to this panel on this side. So one on one side and a little bit more on this other side. And then this piece should be ready to go right on here. And again, I don't want to see any of the green from that piece. And I want to make sure that it's flush with the top and the bottom. And I think that is just right. And it's very important to stay inside the confines of this piece of white for your pieces, otherwise it'll impede its ability to move around through the card. Okay, we've got one more piece. So this piece now is going to go on this panel. Let's see which panel we're getting ready to do, and it's this one. So we want this darker green to go on this side. And you'll notice my trees on my tower are upside down. It doesn't really matter because by the time I get this last panel on, that'll be completely covered. Okay, so here is my white panel, and here is my holly, and I'm just going to use my dot runner to get all of those edges and the little open spaces here and get this piece of holly down. And I'm going to put my berries at the top. And the biggest thing here is to get this one straight and centered. So next I have to put in my little red dots. And what I did was I captured all of my little red dots here in this little container. And then I've got my Tombow glue. And I'm just going to put the tiniest little dot of Tombow glue in each of those little circles. And then I'm going to use my pick tool, and I'm going to put, there's two size dots here, so there are some that are a little bit smaller and then one that's a little bit larger, and I thought it would be kind of fun to experiment maybe on the larger one putting one of these red rhinestones instead of the little piece of red paper. So I'm going to do that and then put these other ones in place, and I'll speed through this. And then I have my Noel and my piece to back my Noel. And so I'm just going to add this to the mat. And I'll show you in a second where I got my Noel. There's my Noel, and I did put this up on dimensionals. I think this center piece is a little on the messy side. It didn't cut exactly right, so I'm going to use this opportunity to put my Noel right across that and hide that. So there we go. There's our Noel, and that piece is ready to go in place on the card. And I did put a couple of red rhinestones, which I'll do. I'm going to add some seal to my tower panel here. And you could hold off on doing all of your dimensionals until you get your piece on. Might make it a little easier to add the glue. But again, so that I don't see the green at the top or the bottom or along this edge, and get that piece put into place. Then we have one last panel, since we didn't have this piece on there to begin with. So now we can add that last panel to this side of the card. And let me just put a little bit of seal on it. And there we've got our piece. So here are our two cards finished, and this one is the one we made today that says Merry Christmas. This one is the one that says Season's Blessings. And I think the only thing I didn't tell you when we were going through there was where to find that Noel. And this is another of the new ones this time, Happy Holly Days. And it's got holly, and it is a bundle with that holly border punch. And that's where I got my Noel. Let's see, this is August, and so my prize draw for the month of August is a $60 shopping spree on me. And all you have to do to get yourself into the drawing is put an order of any size on my store, lbedinger.stampinup.net. And you can get to it through my blog, www.ingenuity.com. Now, there was one thing I wanted to say. I got a phone call from a woman I don't think it was this morning. I think it was yesterday. Anyway, she said, I was writing furiously as I was trying to follow you on one of the cards that you were making. Is there any place that you list the supplies and the measurements? And absolutely. Right underneath this video, there is either a down arrow over here or some words right along down in here that say show more, and it's underneath the video panel itself. And when you click either one of those, an area expands underneath the video, and every single measurement and every single product that I'm using is listed below each and every video. Over on this side is a red subscribe button, and if you haven't already subscribed to my channel, please do. It helps me. And so there is the subscribe button here and the little bell that you click to make sure you get every single video. Because if you just do the subscribe and you don't use the bell, then they don't necessarily push all of the videos to you. But if you use the bell, they do. And then that show more, or that down arrow, which opens up that area underneath the card or underneath the video, that shows every supply name, proper name, because I get tongue-tied when I'm on on video, and I don't always get the right names or the right measurements for that matter, but the right measurements are below there. And then if you give me a couple days, it's on my blog as well. So there's no need to scramble and write. It's all going to be right there for you. Let's see, this is August, and we have the launch of the new catalog, which is very exciting. July to December, being launched in August this year because of the shipping issues. And we still have one or two pieces that didn't quite make it in time for this later launch because of the shipping problems worldwide. And as they come in, I'll let you know which ones the one I'm really waiting for is the paper for this one. Let me show you quickly, and then I'll let you go. But we have this beautiful suite here called Blackberry Beauty. Look at that thing. Isn't that gorgeous? And I have the stamp set, and I have the dies, I have the gold vellum, I have the ephemera pack, I have the ribbon, I have everything. But this paper has been delayed, and I can hardly wait to get my hands on it because I think that is going to make stunning cards. And in fact, I think for my blog hop, I'm using the ephemera pack from this one to make, we were charged with a masculine card for our upcoming blog hop. I think it launches August 17th. And so I made mine a male Christmas card. So that is there. There's a great offer to join that's going to last through celebration. So starting August the 3rd through the end of September, when you join, you get the normal deal, which is $125 worth of product for $99. Plus, during that period of time, August and September, you get an extra free bundle out of this wonderful new catalog. Making minimums is not terribly challenging. It's $300 a quarter, which is $100 a month. And if you're accumulating stuff, some of you are spending that much now. And it allows you to become part of our team. We have a wonderful team with wonderful people on it. And we do training, and I have experts on social media on the team, and most of us are not terribly techie. We're people that make cards. So I try to have some help for the team for some of those kinds of issues. In fact, this weekend we're getting ready to do a training for some of the newer demonstrators on some tools that we use as demonstrators that are proprietary to my team. And so it's a wonderful group of ladies. We have a good time, and we have a meeting once a month. My team is all across the country, and I spend a lot of time on the phone with folks. And let's see, I think that's it for me. I will be back soon with more cards, more projects, and more tips. Bye.